Okay, a little bit of background of the instruments we're using. These are instruments that were available in the 1700s, pretty much throughout the country. I don't know that there was one here at Locust Grove. Probably somebody going through at least carried one with them. Tunes that I played were dance tunes. Frequently used hammer dulcimer to play them. And since we're next to the ballroom, I'm assuming probably those tunes were played here also. Hammer dulcimer dates back to, actually in its present form, 900 AD. It comes from a little smaller instrument, a psaltery, which originally was a 10-stringed instrument. Psaltery grew much longer and available for a little more music, but a Persian mathematician about 900 AD expanded the little psaltery to become a strictly hammered dulcimer. And it has grown also over the years. And in fact, in the next room there is one of the successors to the hammer dulcimer, the pianoforte. The pianoforte is struck as opposed to plucked like the harpsichord, very much similar to this. Went from there to the piano. Put dampers on it, put hammers on keys, and you had a piano. So this is where the instrument would have come in. It came into this country a couple of years after Jamestown. The settlers at Jamestown sent back to England saying they needed some things, and one of the things they asked for was a hammer dulcimer. They wanted a violin. No, they wanted a fiddle. If they wanted a violin, they were playing classical stuff. They wanted a fiddle. They wanted to dance. And they brought the hammer dulcimer and the fiddle to Jamestown. So it's been here for quite a while. Among those who have played the hammer dulcimer is a fellow by the name of Benjamin Franklin. Ben was quite a musician. In fact, his playing of the violin was used to charm the ladies of Paris. The instrument that I'm playing, my father and I built several years ago. All of our instruments were handmade. They're all wooden instruments, handmade. The hardware on them I can't claim as being strictly period. But the instruments, the patterns and everything are very much from the 1700s.
Another predecessor to the little psaltery that he was showing is the one I have here, which is the bowed psaltery. Back 1600s, someone wanted to play their little psaltery with their fiddle bow. All of the strings on that instrument are flat, so you can only reach the top and the bottom strings. So that's when they changed the shape of the instrument, brought all of the strings to the outside edge. You always play on one side or the other. This side over here is your naturals, sharps and flats over on this side. In fact, for those that's familiar with a piano, you'll recognize that same 3 and 2 configuration. That's your black keys on a piano. My bow is wood, but the bow part of it is the same thing that's used on modern day violin and fiddle bows. It's horsehair. It's individual strings of the horsehair put together. So this is called the bowed psaltery.
Some people will relate that to a couple of fellows named Simon and Garfunkel. recorded in 1965. And the reference to sage, rosemary, and thyme was a reference to drugs. No, it's a 16th century song. It was about a fair and about the herbs. We're not sure exactly how far back the tune goes, and there were a number of lyrics before Greensleeves, which was 1700s. The most popular probably is the Christmas song, which is early 1800s. And some have said that Greensleeves was actually an old English king's girlfriend who found somebody she liked better and took off. And the king is lamenting, "Alas, my love, you do me wrong to treat me so discourteously." But by the time we got to the last word, he was ready to forgive her and take her back. A lot of those stories in the royalty of the country of England. We're going to do a old Irish song that probably a lot of people know under several different names. The most common one nowadays, I think, is Star of County Down. Story of a fellow who went to County Down to the fair and met a young lady, and of course, it's a love song. The tune goes back much farther than those lyrics and goes under several names. One of them is the Devil and Lazarus, probably the oldest words that I have found. And we're combining instruments on this one to do two versions of the psaltery, the Hamlet Dulcimer and the bowed psaltery. When we talk about dulcimers in this part of the country, people usually think of the lap dulcimer, mount dulcimer, hammer, or plug dulcimer, whatever. It has its origins in the Shenandoah Valley. Group of people known as the Pennsylvania Dutch, which were actually Germans, not Dutch, but they mispronounced the word Deutsch, and it became Pennsylvania Dutch. Those people had an instrument called the Scheinholt. There were a number of European fretted zithers, and the German version is a 5-string version that only has frets under the melody strings, just box shape, very simple. In a minute you'll see a very elaborate lap dulcimer. They took the simple, and to avoid boredom in the mountains over a period of time, they gave them pretty shapes. You remember quilts started out just as patches of material sewn together to make a blanket, and they learned to make patterns with them, something very beautiful. Well, they did the same thing with their Scheinholt. Reduced the number of strings, gave them a little fancier, and this is the origin of our mountain dulcimer. Mama's been singing their babies to sleep with that one for about 400 years.
Okay, the lap dulcimer that he was talking about that comes out of the Appalachian Mountains is either known as a lap dulcimer, mountain dulcimer, or Appalachian dulcimer. And in this area, people will just refer to it as the dulcimer. And these were originally box-shaped, like the Scheinholts, but the Appalachian people like pretty things, like he was saying with the quilts, so they gave them nice shapes. Two most common is the hourglass, which is what mine is, or the teardrop. Or if your builder gets bored or confused, this is the teardrop, you could end up with each shape on an instrument. So this one has teardrop on one side, hourglass on the other. This one is made out of cherry. When it's played, it has a crisper sound to it. This one is black walnut. It has a more mellow sound to it. So you'll hear that when we're playing the difference. They're tuned exactly the same. The only difference will be just the type of wood that they're made out of. These were only fretted under the 2 melody strings, like the Scheinholts, up until about 70 years ago, when they realized if they fret them all the way across, they can chord them like you do with a guitar. We play ours traditionally, so when we play, you will not hear those chords.
Simple Gifts is actually, as we know it, a shaker tune that comes from the mid-1800s. But I've heard an old Irish tune that sounds almost identical. So I am going to accuse the Shakers of stealing. They wouldn't steal anything, I know, but of stealing the old Irish tune. And therefore we use the tune itself as we're performing. Somehow I wound up over the years doing a lot of Irish things. And there is an old Irish jig, The Road to Lisdoonvarna. The story is that the prettiest girls in all the world lived in Lisdoonvarna, and the guys took the road to Lisdoonvarna to meet the girls. Of course, here probably we'd say they're in Jefferson County, but okay.
Okay, the instrument that I have here is both our newest and oldest instrument. It's our newest instrument because it's new to us. We've only had it a couple of months. It is our oldest instrument because it's the oldest as far as when they was originated. This is called a kalimba. You also hear them call a thumb piano. But it goes back to Africa, and actually it was invented in two different places in Africa in two different times. The first one was on the west coast of Africa, and that was about 3,000 years ago. The one that they had wooden times. They were either wooden or wicker. Then you go back about 1,300 years, and you go to the southeast coast of Africa, and the same instrument was invented there, or created there, but it had the metal times on it. Like I said, this one is called a thumb piano, but when I play it here in a minute, it's going to be a thumb and index finger piano, because I broke a fingernail off on that thumb and it hurts to play. If you are familiar and a fan of the group Earth, Wind and Fire, you would have seen the leader of that group, Maurice White, playing a marimba, and he did it extremely well. So this is my thumb piano. Okay, the next song that we're going to play is Amazing Grace. It came out of the Church of England by a gentleman by the name of John Newton in 1764. It was out of Olney, Buckinghamshire. He started to write hymns with the poet William Cowper, and Amazing Grace was written to illustrate a sermon on New Year's Day of 1773.
This is out of our time period actually, but we just had to do it since we're in Kentucky and, well, you just got to do My Old Kentucky Home. No way about it. It was written by Stephen Foster in 1853. Our state legislature likes to adopt state symbols. So in 1928, they adopted this as our state song. If you go to the Derby, you're going to have to sing My Old Kentucky Home. And we're expecting all Kentuckians now, as we play this, to be standing. Not that we can see you, but... and also the instruments that we're using are the Kentucky State Instrument, adopted in 1902. 2001. I have to back up, 2001. A little different.